You must understand this with clarity and reverence. Every day is a container, and within that container, possibilities waiting for authorization. Time does not decide outcomes, voices do. The morning is not simply a biological reset. It is a spiritual junction where permissions are granted and limitations are enforced. When you wake up, you are not just waking into light. You are waking into a conversation that has already begun in the realm of the spirit. Forces have spoken, intentions have been projected, and expectations have been set. If you do not intervene deliberately, you will unconsciously participate in a script you did not author. This is why the wise never rush into a day without first interrogating it spiritually. A day can look ordinary and still be pregnant with destiny-altering consequences. There are days that carry instructions, days that carry opportunities, days that carry tests, and days that carry warfare. Without discernment and spiritual engagement, you may misinterpret what kind of day you have entered and respond wrongly. Every day carries a prophecy, whether spoken by God or by opposing forces. Heaven has an intention for your life that unfolds progressively, and each day is a fragment of that larger intention. However, opposition does not wait for milestones. It confronts you daily. Morning prayer is not an emotional activity meant to calm your heart. It is an alignment exercise that synchronizes your life with the counsel of God for that day. When you command your day, you are saying that the agenda of darkness will not have the final say. You are declaring that accidents, confusion, sorrow, delays, and distraction are not random events, but spiritual outcomes that can be rejected. You are engaging the authority given to you to accept what aligns with God's will and refuse what contradicts it. Many people pray reactively because they lack understanding. They pray when something goes wrong, but those who understand spiritual laws pray proactively. They pray before anything goes wrong. They understand that prevention in the spirit is more powerful than repair in the physical. When you command your day, you are not fighting events, you are shaping them. You are placing a spiritual filter over the hours ahead, so that anything that passes through must comply with divine order. This is why some people seem preserved, favored, and guided effortlessly. It is not luck. It is spiritual intelligence applied consistently. To command your day means you recognize that God has entrusted you with authority over your space. Dominion does not begin when problems arise. It begins when responsibility is accepted. Many believers love the comfort of God's sovereignty, but neglect the responsibility of their authority. Authority unused does not remain neutral. It creates a vacuum that other voices will fill. The enemy does not need permission to speak where believers are silent. Silence in the spirit is not humility, it is negligence. Morning prayer is how you break that silence and announce alignment with heaven. When you rise and speak over your day, you are not speaking into emptiness. You are speaking into a realm governed by laws that respond to words spoken in faith. Words are vehicles of authority. This is why careless speech can destroy what intentional prayer builds. In the morning you are deliberate. You say this day will produce progress. You say this day will carry clarity. You say this day will not waste your energy or your emotion. You declare that divine order will govern your movements, that your steps are arranged, and that your timing is synchronized with God's plan. This is not arrogance, this is obedience to the mandate of dominion. The tragedy of many believers is not the absence of authority, but the absence of consciousness. They possess power, but live as victims because they are unaware of how spiritual governance works. Authority must be exercised consciously, intentionally, and consistently. You cannot delegate responsibility to heaven and then complain when things go wrong. Heaven expects your cooperation. When you speak in the morning, you are exercising delegated authority. You are enforcing what has already been established in Christ. You are reminding the atmosphere that you are not subject to chance. Authority is not volume, it is alignment. You do not shout to prove authority. Authority flows from identity and position. When you know who you are and where you stand, your words carry weight, even when spoken quietly. Morning prayer is powerful because it flows from stillness and alignment. not desperation. You are not trying to convince God, you are agreeing with Him. The power of agreement is that heaven responds swiftly to it. When your declarations are rooted in truth, angels respond, circumstances adjust, and resistance weakens. You must also understand that authority is territorial. You are responsible for the atmosphere you allow around you. Your home, your workplace, your journey, and your interactions all fall within the jurisdiction of your influence. When you command your day, you are extending spiritual governance over these territories. You are saying confusion will not dominate my environment. You are declaring that peace is enforced, wisdom is released, and favor is activated. This is how spiritual climates change. No environment changes accidentally. It changes because someone with authority took responsibility. Many believers are waiting for God to change things that He has already empowered them to change. This misunderstanding leads to frustration. Authority is not given to impress you, it is given to be used. Morning prayer is the practical expression of that usage. It is where you take what you believe and turn it into what you enforce. Faith that is not expressed becomes theory. Authority that is not exercised becomes dormant. When you step into your day after praying with understanding, you walk differently. You are not anxious because you have already spoken peace. You are not confused because you have already declared clarity. You are not intimidated because you have already asserted authority. Challenges may still appear, but they will meet resistance. Opposition may arise, but it will lack dominance. This is the difference between believers who are overwhelmed by life and believers who rule within it. You must also recognize that commanding your day does not eliminate effort, it directs it. Prayer does not replace work, it makes work effective. When authority is established in the spirit, effort in the physical becomes fruitful. This is why some people labor endlessly with little to show for it, while others achieve impact with measured effort. Spiritual order precedes physical results. Morning prayer is how you establish that order. The discipline of commanding your day trains your spirit to be proactive rather than reactive. Over time, your sensitivity increases. You begin to sense resistance early and address it before it escalates. You begin to recognize divine opportunities and step into them confidently. You become less surprised by outcomes because you have already influenced them. This is not mysticism, it is maturity. When authority is exercised daily, confidence grows naturally. Not confidence in self, but confidence in divine backing. You begin to trust that when you speak from alignment, heaven responds. This trust removes fear. Fear thrives where authority is doubted. The more you exercise authority, the less fear controls you. You stop waking up wondering what the day will bring and start waking up deciding what the day will allow. This understanding transforms mornings from routine to ritual, from habit to altar. The morning becomes sacred not because of the time, but because of the transaction. You are not just starting a day, you are legislating outcome. You are setting spiritual parameters that govern everything that follows. When this becomes a lifestyle, consistency replaces chaos, direction replaces confusion, and dominion replaces survival. One of the most subtle but decisive battles of every day is the battle for the mind. Long before events unfold externally, they are rehearsed internally. Thoughts are not neutral visitors. They are carriers of influence, direction, and outcome. If the mind is left unsecured in the morning, it becomes a fertile ground for fear, distraction, doubt, and emotional instability. This is why many people feel overwhelmed before the day truly begins. They wake up already tired, already anxious, already confused, not because anything has happened yet, but because their minds were never guarded. Morning prayer is the gatekeeping of the mind. It is the conscious act of deciding what is permitted to occupy your thoughts and what must be rejected. The mind is the command center of human experience. Whatever dominates the mind eventually shapes decisions, conversations, and action. When you secure your mind early, you are not denying reality, you are defining perspective. You are declaring that anxiety will not dictate your responses, that fear will not frame your expectations, and that confusion will not blur your judgment. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of order in the midst of them. Morning prayer establishes that order. It aligns your thoughts with truth so that when pressure comes, it meets a mind already fortified. Many believers underestimate the spiritual dimension of mental battles. They treat worry as normal and fear as inevitable, not realizing that these are indicators of a mind under siege. When you pray in the morning, you are not merely asking for calm, you are enforcing mental dominion. You are commanding your thoughts to agree with divine reality rather than external pressure. This is why prayer changes how you feel, even when circumstances remain the same. Your internal government has shifted. You are no longer reacting, you are responding from authority. Closely connected to this is the discipline of aligning your words before you engage the world. The mouth is not just a communication tool, it is a creative instrument. Words are containers of power, and once released, they begin to shape environments. Many people sabotage their days unconsciously through careless speech. They pray in the morning and then cancel their prayers with negative confessions before noon. This is not because prayer failed, but because understanding was incomplete. Morning prayer is not effective if the mouth is not disciplined afterward. When you pray early, you are calibrating your tongue. You are deciding in advance that your words will not be driven by emotion, frustration, or fear. You are aligning your speech with the reality you want to see, not the pressure you feel. This is why wisdom teaches restraint. Silence can sometimes be a stronger declaration than speech. Not every thought deserves expression, and not every emotion deserves a voice. A mouth aligned with heaven sustains what prayer establishes. Words spoken in agreement with truth create continuity. They reinforce spiritual decisions already made. When you say that your day will be productive, your words begin to organize your actions around that declaration. When you declare favor, your perception sharpens to recognize opportunities that fear would have missed. This is not self-deception, it is spiritual alignment. The environment responds to consistent speech. This is why faith is called a confession. What you believe must eventually be spoken to become effective. Another critical dimension of commanding your day is understanding the role of human interactions. Every day introduces you to people, and people are carriers of influence. Some carry encouragement, insight, and opportunity, while others carry distraction, delay, or conflict. Without spiritual discernment, you may open your heart to the wrong voices and ignore the right ones. Morning prayer is where you invite divine alignment into your relationships for that day. You are not controlling people. You are asking for wisdom to navigate interactions accurately. Alignment in relationships does not happen accidentally. There are conversations that look harmless but derail focus. And there are encounters that look ordinary but unlock destiny. When you pray in the morning, you are asking that your discernment be sharpened so that you recognize value and avoid unnecessary entanglements. You are declaring that helpers will not miss you and that wrong associations will lose influence. This saves emotional energy and preserves spiritual momentum. Many delays in life are not caused by lack of effort, but by wrong associations. Morning prayer is a protective mechanism. It filters interactions before they become attachments. You begin to notice who strengthens your faith and who drains your focus. You become comfortable setting boundaries without guilt because you understand that peace is a responsibility, not a luxury. When relationships are aligned, progress becomes easier. Closely tied to relationships is the need for divine covering. Life is unpredictable and every journey carries risk. However, risk does not have to translate into fear. Morning prayer is where you consciously place yourself under divine preservation. You acknowledge that while you are responsible, you are not alone. You declare safety not as superstition, but as covenant confidence. This assurance changes how you move through the day. You are alert, not afraid. You are careful, not anxious. Divine covering does not mean the absence of challenges. It means the presence of protection within them. When you acknowledge this covering early, fear loses its grip. You stop imagining worst-case scenarios and start trusting divine oversight. This trust frees your mind to focus on purpose rather than survival. Many people are exhausted, not because life is hard, but because fear consumes their energy. Morning prayer restores strength by restoring trust. When these dimensions work together, mental security, disciplined speech, relational, alignment, and divine covering, the day becomes ordered rather than chaotic. You are not rushing blindly from one activity to another. You are moving with awareness and intention. This order does not make life boring, it makes it effective. You still face tasks, challenges, and decisions, but you face them from a position of stability rather than confusion. Over time, this practice reshapes your spiritual posture. You become less reactive and more discerning. You begin to recognize patterns and anticipate outcomes. You stop being surprised by recurring struggles because you address them at the level of alignment rather than reaction. This is the maturity that comes from understanding how spiritual laws operate consistently. The beauty of this lifestyle is that it produces quiet confidence. You are not loud about your faith, but it is evident in your outcomes. You are not striving for control, you are exercising responsibility. Each morning becomes an opportunity to establish order. And each day becomes a testimony of what alignment produces. There is a mystery to fruitfulness that many ignore, and that mystery is that productivity is not first a function of activity but of authorization. You can be busy from morning till night and still be unproductive because effort without spiritual alignment leaks strength. The day responds to command, not motion. This is why morning engagement is critical. Before your hands touch any assignment, your spirit must speak to your labor. You are not merely asking that your work goes well, you are declaring that your effort will be backed by grace. Grace is what turns ordinary labor into results that endure. When you command productivity early, you are refusing wasted motion, unnecessary delays, and fruitless struggles. You are insisting that every ounce of energy released will translate into progress. Productivity thrives where order is established. Confusion is expensive. It drains time, focus, and momentum. Morning prayer is where you insist on order. You declare that priorities will be clear, that distractions will lose power, and that your energy will be channeled correctly. Many people do many things but advance in nothing because focus is scattered. When you align early, you give the day a direction. Direction simplifies decisions. You are no longer guessing what to do next. You are following a spiritual compass already set. This is how people achieve much without appearing hurried. Their movement is intentional because their direction was settled before the noise began. Another dimension of commanding productivity is understanding that resistance is not always a sign to stop. Sometimes resistance is evidence that what you are doing matters. However, there is a difference between resistance that refines and resistance that distracts. Discernment helps you tell the difference. Morning prayer is where discernment is sharpened. You ask for light, not just strength. Strength without light leads to stubbornness. Light without strength leads to hesitation. When you receive both, you know when to persist and when to redirect. This saves years of wasted effort. Discernment is the ability to see beyond appearance. Not every opportunity that looks good is good for you, and not every delay is denial. Without discernment, you may fight battles that were never assigned to you and ignore those that were divinely opened. Morning prayer tunes your spiritual senses. You become sensitive to promptings, warnings, and confirmation. You begin to sense when peace is present and when it is absent. Peace is not just an emotion, it is a signal. It tells you that alignment is intact. When peace lifts, wisdom demands that you pause and seek clarity. Many mistakes that cost people years are not the result of rebellion, but of haste. They move too quickly without light. Morning prayer slows you down internally, even when your day is full externally. It trains you to listen before you act. This listening posture protects you from costly errors. You learn to wait for clarity before commitment. This is especially important in decisions that involve time, finances, and relationships. Discernment is cheaper than regret. Another truth you must understand is that productivity is sustained by presence. You can start strong and still finish weak if you attempt to function independently. The presence of God is not an abstract concept, it is practical help. When you consciously acknowledge divine presence in the morning, you are inviting guidance, restraint, and empowerment. Guidance helps you choose rightly. Restraint keeps you from excess. And empowerment strengthens you when your natural capacity ends. This is why some people do not burn out even under pressure. They are not carrying the weight alone. Acknowledging presence also keeps pride in check. When success comes, you remain grateful. When challenges arise, you remain dependent. This balance preserves longevity. Morning prayer reminds you that you are a steward, not the source. You are responsible, but you are not self-sufficient. This awareness removes unnecessary pressure. You work diligently, but you rest internally because you trust divine oversight. Rested hearts make better decisions. As the day unfolds, productivity is also influenced by how you respond to interruptions. Not every interruption is an attack, some are divine redirections. Without discernment, you may resist what God is introducing. Morning prayer prepares you for flexibility. You are firm in purpose, but open in method. You are not rigid because you trust that guidance continues beyond the prayer moment. This posture allows you to adapt without losing focus. Another important aspect is understanding that discernment protects momentum. Momentum is fragile. One wrong decision can slow progress significantly. Morning prayer is how you guard momentum. You declare that you will not be distracted by offenses, unnecessary arguments, or emotional traps. Emotional stability is a productivity tool. When emotions are unmanaged, they hijack time and energy. Prayer stabilizes emotions by aligning them with truth. You feel, but you are not ruled by feelings. This emotional discipline keeps you moving forward even when things are imperfect. Discernment also governs consumption. What you listen to, watch, and engage with affects your spiritual sensitivity. Morning prayer sharpens your awareness, so you become selective. You begin to sense when something is draining rather than edifying. This selectivity preserves clarity. Clarity fuels speed. When your mind is clear, decisions are faster and more accurate. This is why disciplined people appear efficient. They are not smarter, they are clearer. When productivity and discernment work together, effort becomes strategic. You are not doing everything, you are doing the right things. You stop confusing motion with movement. Movement implies direction and progress. Motion can exist without advancement. Morning prayer shifts you from motion to movement. You are intentional about where your energy goes. This intentionality multiplies results over time. As days turn into weeks and weeks into seasons, this practice compounds. Small daily alignments produce large, long-term outcomes. You may not notice dramatic changes immediately, but consistency builds capacity. You become someone who can be trusted with more because you manage what you have well. Opportunities increase because you are prepared to handle them. Preparation is invisible, but its rewards are public. In all of this, the goal is not perfection, but alignment. You may still make mistakes, but they will be fewer and less costly. You may still face challenges, but you will face them with clarity and strength. Each morning becomes a recalibration point, a moment where you realign with purpose and renew sensitivity. This rhythm sustains growth without exhaustion and progress without chaos. There is a spiritual power in sealing the day before it unfolds, and many overlook this because they misunderstand the role of thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not a reaction to outcomes. It is a declaration of confidence in divine governance. When you give thanks in the morning, you are not pretending that everything is already perfect. You are acknowledging that control has been established. Gratitude is a spiritual seal. It affirms that what has been spoken in prayer is already settled in the realm of the Spirit. Complaints weaken authority, but thanksgiving strengthens it. This is why a grateful heart is a powerful heart. It signals trust, and trust invites divine involvement. When thanksgiving becomes part of your morning posture, Anxiety loses its footing. Anxiety thrives where the future feels uncertain. Gratitude announces that the future is secure in capable hands. You begin your day not with fear of what may happen, but with confidence in who governs what will happen. This confidence is not emotional optimism, it is spiritual assurance. It calms the heart and sharpens focus. A calm heart thinks better, decides better, and responds better. Thanksgiving, therefore, is not just spiritual, it is deeply practical. Expectation flows naturally from thanksgiving. When you thank God in advance, you are declaring that you anticipate divine intervention. Expectation is the posture of faith. It is the quiet confidence that something good is permitted to happen today. Many people move through their days without expectation, and so they miss moments of divine help because they were not looking for them. Expectation sharpens perception. You become attentive to small openings, subtle promptings, and timely help. Faith does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers through opportunity. Expectation also governs how you respond to challenges. When you expect good, challenges no longer feel like proof of failure. They become part of a larger process. You stop interpreting resistance as rejection and start seeing it as refinement. This mindset preserves joy. Joy is strength. A joyful person does not quit easily because their strength is renewed internally. Morning thanksgiving fuels this joy by reminding you that the story is still unfolding and that the author is faithful. Another critical dimension of expectation is that it creates room for testimony. Testimonies are not accidents. They are responses to faith-filled anticipation. When you expect God to move, you create space in your heart to recognize His hand when He does. Many miracles go unnoticed, not because they did not happen, but because expectation was absent. Morning prayer that ends in expectation trains you to watch for divine fingerprints throughout the day. You become sensitive to moments of favor, protection, insight, and provision. Expectation also influences endurance. Some answers come quickly, others unfold gradually. When expectation is sustained, waiting does not become weary. You understand that delay is not denial but development. Morning thanksgiving renews patience because it reminds you that timing is part of wisdom. You are not in a hurry to force outcomes because you trust the process. This trust produces stability. Stable people endure longer and finish stronger. Closely tied to thanksgiving and expectation is the discipline of consistency. Authority is reinforced through repetition. What you do occasionally produces occasional results. What you do consistently produces lasting outcomes. Morning prayer is powerful, not because of intensity alone, but because of faithfulness. Each day you align, command, give thanks, and expect. You are building spiritual momentum. Momentum makes spiritual activities easier over time. What once felt difficult becomes natural. Discipline turns into delight. Consistency trains your spirit to respond automatically to truth. You no longer struggle to believe because belief has become familiar. You no longer struggle to pray because prayer has become home. This familiarity does not breed contempt, it breeds confidence. You know what works because you have seen it work repeatedly. This confidence translates into quiet authority. You are not frantic when things go wrong because you have a reference point. You know that alignment restores order. Consistency also guards you against extremes. You are not overly excited by success, and you are not overly discouraged by setbacks. You understand rhythm. Life has seasons, but alignment remains constant. Morning prayer becomes an anchor that stabilizes you through change. When routines change and environments shift, alignment remains your constant. This stability is a rare and valuable strength. As consistency develops, your expectations mature. You stop expecting only dramatic interventions and begin to value steady progress. You recognize that growth is often incremental. This maturity protects you from disappointment. You appreciate small victories and understand their cumulative power. Gratitude for small steps keeps your heart open for greater breakthroughs. Thanksgiving, expectation, and consistency together create a powerful spiritual posture. You are thankful because you trust. You expect because you believe. and you remain consistent because you understand process. This posture reshapes how you experience life. Days no longer feel random, they feel intentional. You move with awareness, not haste. You act with faith, not fear. Over time, this way of living influences others. Your calmness under pressure, your joy uncertainty, and your steady progress become a silent testimony. People may not understand your spiritual practices, but they will notice your outcomes. They will see stability where others panic, clarity where others are confused, and hope where others despair. This is the fruit of a life that begins each day aligned, thankful, and expectant. As you continue to engage mornings with this understanding, your inner world becomes ordered. Thoughts settle, emotions align, and decisions become clearer. You are not trying to control everything, you are trusting the one who does. This trust frees you to live purposefully. You are no longer dragged by the day. You are leading it with quiet confidence and steady faith. There is a dimension of commanding the day that goes beyond survival and success. And it is the discipline of watchfulness. Many people begin the day well, but lose awareness as the hours progress. They prayed, they aligned, they declared, yet they drift into autopilot and allow pressure, conversations, and emotions to slowly erode what was established in the morning. Watchfulness is the ability to remain spiritually alert without being tense. It is the awareness that alignment is not a one-time event, but a posture that must be maintained. When you are watchful, you notice early signs of distraction, irritation, or compromise, and address them before they grow. Watchfulness trains you to pause internally, even while moving externally. You learn to check your spirit before responding, to listen before reacting, and to recalibrate when peace begins to lift. This is not paranoia, it is maturity. A watchful person is not afraid of mistakes, but is attentive enough to correct quickly. This sensitivity preserves the atmosphere you work to establish in the morning. Many spiritual losses are not sudden collapses, they are gradual drifts. Watchfulness arrests that drift. Being watchful also means recognizing when strength is waning. Fatigue can make wise people foolish and disciplined people careless. Morning prayer gives strength, but watchfulness ensures that strength is stewarded well. You begin to recognize when you need rest, silence, or withdrawal. You stop pushing unnecessarily and learn the wisdom of pacing. This protects you from burnout. Burnout is not caused by work alone, it is caused by work with replenishment. Watchfulness keeps you connected to the source of renewal throughout the day. Another powerful aspect of watchfulness is restraint. Not every thought needs agreement, and not every provocation needs response. When you are watchful, you choose your battles wisely. You understand that peace is not weakness, and silence is not defeat. There are moments when walking away preserves more authority than arguing. This restraint keeps your spirit clean. A clean spirit hears clearly. Clarity sustains momentum. As the day progresses, watchfulness also helps you recognize divine interruptions. Sometimes help comes disguised as inconvenience. Without awareness, you may resist what was sent to assist you. Watchfulness keeps your heart open. You remain firm in purpose, but flexible in execution. This flexibility allows divine guidance to redirect you without confusion. You move with the confidence that alignment continues beyond the morning prayer. Closely related to watchfulness is the principle of sealing outcome. While the morning is the altar of authorization, the close of the day is the altar of review. Even before night comes, a wise person begins to mentally seal what has happened. You acknowledge victories, learn from missteps, and release what did not go as planned. This internal sealing prevents emotional carryover. You do not drag the weight of today into tomorrow unnecessarily. This discipline keeps your spirit light and ready. Sealing outcomes is not self-criticism, it is reflection. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. When you reflect without condemnation, you grow. Morning prayer positions you to act well. Reflection helps you act better tomorrow. Over time, this rhythm produces mastery. You are not repeating the same mistakes because you are paying attention. Growth becomes intentional rather than accidental. Sealing also involves forgiveness. Throughout the day, offenses can arise. If they are not addressed internally, they harden into bitterness. Watchfulness helps you detect offense early, and sealing helps you release it. You choose peace over pride. This choice protects your authority. Authority leaks where bitterness is stored. A heart that forgives easily remains powerful. Morning prayer may establish peace, but forgiveness preserves it. Another critical aspect of sealing is testimony. Testimony does not always mean public storytelling. It begins with private acknowledgement. You notice moments of favor, protection, clarity, and help, and you quietly give thanks. This acknowledgement strengthens faith. Faith grows when it remembers. Remembering is a spiritual discipline. When you remember what worked today, you reinforce confidence for tomorrow. This is how faith becomes strong and stable. As days are sealed well, something deeper begins to form: character. Character is the cumulative effect of consistent decisions made in alignment with truth. Morning prayer shapes decisions. Watchfulness guards them. And sealing reinforces lessons. Over time, your inner life becomes ordered. You are no longer tossed by moods or controlled by pressure. Stability becomes your nature. This stability is attractive. People trust stable individuals because they are predictable in character even when circumstances change. This leads to the final understanding that commanding your day is not just about managing hours. It is about shaping destiny. Destiny is not built in dramatic moments alone. It is constructed quietly through daily alignments. How you start, steward, and seal each day determines the trajectory of your life. Many people are praying for destiny breakthroughs while neglecting daily discipline. Destiny responds to consistency more than intensity. When you command your day repeatedly, authority becomes habitual. You no longer struggle to believe or to pray. Alignment becomes instinctive. You wake up with awareness, move with intention, and rest with peace. This rhythm transforms you from someone, reacts to life, into someone who leads it. Leadership begins internally before it is ever seen externally. As this lifestyle matures, your confidence deepens. Not confidence in circumstances, because circumstances change, but confidence in governance. You trust that no matter what arises, you know how to return to alignment. This removes fear of the unknown. Fear thrives where people feel helpless. Alignment restores a sense of agency. You may not control everything, but you are never powerless. Over time, this way of living produces generational impact. Your consistency becomes a model. Others learn from your discipline, even if you never explain it. They see your calmness, your clarity, and your steady growth. Influence flows naturally from order. You do not need to announce authority. It is evident in outcomes. Peace, wisdom, and fruitfulness become your signature. As each day is commanded, watched, and sealed, life stops feeling scattered. You recognize patterns, discern seasons, and respond wisely. You are not rushing toward the future. You are building it deliberately. Each morning lays a stone, each day adds structure, and each season reveals progress. This is how alignment turns ordinary days into a meaningful life.